Master of Self, our new episode. I don't even know what are we on, LJ? 9. We're almost at 10. Kati, you're number 9.
Can we come back and do 10?
Sure. Come on, we have to play. Who's on 10? We have to celebrate. We have to have balloons and stuff, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, we're at 9. But I'm glad Katia is here, Master of Self. Every time you see us, you're going to be inspired. You're going to learn something a little bit new, probably about yourself as we are in real time. And I think that's great to be with friends and to learn about your journey together. One guy told me about being lonely versus being alone and how different that is. Just because I'm alone doesn't mean that I'm lonely. It just means that I'm valuing my time apart from all things that may be distracting. What do you think?
That's really interesting because is he the being lonely part? That's almost a topic that someone puts on yourself. So you can identify it yourself and say, well, I'm lonely. What can I do to make myself not lonely? But it sounds like he was identifying it because someone else was giving it to him.
Maybe. I mean, because people will say, hey, when I'm lonely, that means I need to go, like you say, find something.
Right.
That means go out, go be with somebody that might not be, it might be a toxic situation. But then when you're by yourself, that's a valuable time.
Right. You need time to decompress.
It's natural to have moments alone.
Right.
And that doesn't mean that you're lonely, like lacking or being without. It's just that you're choosing to be,
But I think you can also be lonely with other people around too.
Indeed. I've experienced that.
Have you?
Yeah. And I'm the extrovert. We're talking about personality type.
Yeah.
I'm an extrovert. But sometimes that's just what they say on these personality assessments, that I'm an extrovert. But I actually prefer to be in the background.
So is that kind of like a mind fuck when you think about it? Where you're like, I'm an extrovert and I'm with people and I'm feeling lonely?
Yeah. Because I don't feel comfortable, or I don't feel like I can be fully expressed.
Yeah.
And that's all kind of stuff that I have in my head, whatever the situation is. Yeah.
Does that make, okay, so I've also worked through just having people in your life who are like positive and move you forward. Is that a reflection on like other individuals in your life and who you need to keep in your space? Or is that more of a reflection on you?
I think it's both.
Okay.
It's a little bit of both. It's self-reflection. It's also who gets to be in my atmosphere, who gets to be in my aura, and I'm in control of that. And like I said before, just on another podcast, it's like I have the final say in my life and what I believe and what is spoken over my life. So it doesn't mean that I can't be your friend, but I get to actually, I'm responsible for my space. I'm responsible for what I curate for myself. That means, do I need to go out with the turn up team? Do I need to, stay and study? Do I need to, do something that's meaningful? Do I need to do something that is, health and well-being, some mindfulness stuff? Do I need to do that? I'm responsible for that.
Yeah.
So,
I always think that's interesting too, of like, what's the balance between knowing that and doing that in your life and being selfish in a sense too? Like, how do you perceive what selfishness is versus like, oh no, this is actually healthy and I can still be helpful to other people? I never know the answer to that.
I don't think it's an easy answer. And I think it's different for each person.
Yeah.
I don't think it's ever selfish for you to choose yourself. Selfish. I mean, you could say it is selfish, but it's not in the traditional selfish terminology. Why are you being selfish? No, I'm choosing myself. And that's important.
Yeah.
For me to choose myself. And I struggle with that. I'm a giver. I like to give. I like to be around people. I thrive in those environments. But if it's not the right energy, I'm at a point in my life where I will remove myself. As there's no judgment, there's nothing on you, I'm removing myself.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
And so it takes me out of blaming you. Even in relationships, I am by myself because I'm choosing that.
Right.
I'm choosing to put myself, there's a movie or a book called I Can Do Bad All By Myself.
Okay.
So I'd rather
Yes.
do that than to be in a situation because I'm lonely or, that I just need some type of distraction from life.
And mess with someone long term then, because that's going to screw that person up. That's selfish.
That is selfish.
Yeah.
And it's important, I think, at this point in my life, because we on a milestone birthday this year. We ain't going to talk about it. We talked about it early, Katia. But this is a milestone.
Your secrets
time.
are safe with me.
Well, until it goes social media. And then it's like this whole
until it's your actual birthday.
I'm just at a point in my life where I'm just like, look, we were talking about before. I don't care what people think. And first of all, Katya is a Purple Banter teammate, a podcaster and a world traveler. Talk about your podcast. Let's start with that.
Okay.
Tell us about what you're doing on Purple Banter.
Yeah. I mean, we're building Purple Banter, of course, and so excited about all the shows that we have under the umbrella. But the show that I host is called The Come Up with Katya. And the reason that I came up with even the concept, and it's still a journey in figuring out like the different individuals who I have on the show and the different stories, but a lot of them center around entrepreneurship and the struggles within that and highlighting those struggles versus just seeing the highlight reel. And that's always been like a deep reflection for myself. But I also was frustrated with so many entrepreneurial podcasts who would say, oh, you know, I won the lottery or my whatever, found X, Y, and Z dollars, and then Target called and they took my product and then I sold it to Johnson & Johnson and done. I think the journey as an entrepreneur can feel very lonely and very like alone at times, especially if you're going through a struggle and you're like, nobody else has had to struggle in this way, so I should give up. Because look at all of these stories that were instantly success and monetary and just overall greatness. It can be very lonely. Yeah. So we've all had shitty jobs, and I think it's great to like talk about those and share those stories. And there's a lot of humor in it, which can be really fun.
If you choose to laugh.
If you choose to laugh. And sometimes it was like awful in the time.
Yeah.
And then you can laugh at it now. You're like, God, remember that was terrible. But now it's a great story and it's something that you can laugh at.
What's your favorite episode so far of
Oh my God.
The Come Up with Katya?
Ooh. That's a big question. I loved, honestly, my first episode ever. We didn't even have a name for the show. But I knew this person, Doug Marshall. It's a great episode. We sat down and we're like, I don't even know the name of the show. We're just going to have some fun. Tell us your story. And we got Doug's life story. And it was just such a great energy throughout the entire experience. I was like, okay, we're onto something here.
That's awesome.
And so many people like call me and they're like, Doug Marshall, like that guy is so funny and so meaningful. And he's related to so many different people in their lives. I'll give you an example. Doug is a very outgoing, very colorful gay man from New York, lives in LA now. He's done, fashion. He started his career off in finance and then shifted to like fashion, skincare. Now he's doing life coaching. He's really meaningful. He's really purposeful in his life. So he's done a lot of things. And, a good friend of mine who is like super sales guy from the Northeast, very strict. He listened to that podcast and he was like, I loved Doug's stories. So to see two very different people like identify their same interests was really cool.
Yeah. And I have to acknowledge you because you are the common link. You are the facilitator. You're creating a space where people can be themselves and share in a very authentic way. And I think that you get to take some credit for that as well.
Thank you.
So, because I've seen many of your podcasts, and you're just a great, conversationalist. You make it very natural, and I think that's a part of
Thank you.
the experience as well.
Yeah.
Some of the things. This is why I'm glad that LJ got me on this, because I've seen so many people as cringe worthy of people interviewing people.
Well, you make it about yourself, and that's not the point. You're like, well, then you just sit on the mic and talk.
Yeah.
Because we don't know about you or whatever, but there's some importance in silence, I think.
Sure. And listening, this taking it in, letting people talk, and then gleaning from it. And where I see Master of Self going in the future is really a leadership, bringing out leadership distinctions in what we're saying.
Yeah.
Not only are we trying to be better, we are being better, but we also need to focus on how we can lead in our lives. In our world, in our communities. And even if you don't see yourself as a leader, think about the things that you hear here and try to implement them in your lives and see what comes of it.
Yeah.
And then hit us up and let us know how you implemented it and what it did for you and what worked and what didn't work. I think that's so important.
Totally.
For growth and development. We were talking about not caring about what people think about us specifically.
Yeah.
Why is that so present for you right now?
Yeah. This is, I mean, like I was saying earlier, this is probably the first time maybe ever, or that I can really purely identify that I'm at a place where I'm creating content or just being in the space of my life that I really don't care what other people think about what I'm doing. Earlier in my 20s, I was doing on-camera hosting, writing, all of these things, particularly in the sports industry. And it was a constant, like, you need to be more this, less this. It was a constant picking. Everyone has an opinion. But then I can identify and look back of like why I didn't go in the path to ultimate quote unquote success was because I was never fully me in the moment, because my head was like perfection. And the second that a perfection didn't happen or something went awry than how I wanted to control the situation, I was out of it. It's interesting because people would also give you that note. We're saying you need to be this, less this, more this, you need to look this way or don't look this way or blah, 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 blah. But then their final note would always be, but be yourself.
Right.
Because that translates the most.
Right.
You're like, well, I've got all of these things to think about. I can't. I don't even know who I am right now. Yeah. And I don't know how or what changed, but I'm definitely at a space that what happens, and less preparation sometimes is more preparation, and years of preparation leads to
freedom.
The moment. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for people who may be watching and there's like, wow, that's so liberating. That's so freeing. What would you say to folks that are looking for that freedom? What would you say to them?
I think it is just like tapping into truly not caring, but intentionally caring at the same time. I know that makes zero sense, but when it's done, kind of leaving it at the table, knowing that you went into that moment and did the best you can, and you can't go back at all. Yeah. And especially on something that's like a live thing or an interview. If you're in your head way too much, that translates. And I'm trying to figure out like what and how I got to this place. And I think it was probably just being exhausted. I got really, 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 really tired of everyone telling me who they thought I was. And I just kind of just broke and like took a step back.
Yeah. It took you to that breaking point.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I hate when people have to go to the breaking point to then, shift and change and create something new. I hate that. But that's where it takes. I've been there as well, having to go all the way to the bottom to then be rebuilt. Yeah. And that's for sure. That's a beautiful thing. I don't know. I think folks who are concerned about what people say, it's important to be conscious of how you show up to people. Because if you're a leader and you want to do things in the world, if you want to be effective, you have to be showing up in the way that works. Yeah. And so you got to be conscious of if that's working or not. And the only way you can do that is to ask for feedback and to listen and to be receptive, right? But there's a fine line from being open to feedback from people and then not being yourself and changing who you are. And there's a fine line. You have to just figure that out for yourself sometimes.
It's funny, the listening thing too, because I do remember like one moment that was driving me nuts. It was about a year and a half ago, and I was applying for all of these, kind of 9-to-5 jobs. I was in between work at the time, and that in itself is just a very exhausting period to be in your life. And then you have all of these people judging like you, your resume, your experience, all of these things. And I don't think I was doing the best job of communicating who I was on my resume. Yeah. So I'd get in these interviews and they would say, well, on your resume, it looks like you fit into this category. And instead of them listening to me and saying, actually, I've done this, which would lend me to be better on this side, they're like, yeah, but this piece of paper says this.
Yeah.
And they would just never listen. I'm like, well, what's the point of interviewing me
Exactly.
if you already have me figured out because this one piece of paper with bullet points on it says that I fit in this category, not here. And that was definitely the most frustrating thing. And I think that might have been the point of not caring what people think.
Yeah. Have you ever taken over an interview and flipped a script on them and asked them questions?
I try. That was always kind of my technique because I felt that you could have a better conversation interview on that sense. And you also, we've all been in jobs that it was not the job that you signed up for or the job that you got hired for. Yeah. So as cliche as it sounds, is you want to hear and understand, and it's all about identifying what the right questions to ask in that process. No, like, oh, you sound like you're going to be a micromanaged, like crazy manager.
Yeah.
And it's hard to find those questions and figure out what to do. And unfortunately, usually it's because of a past poor experience.
Indeed.
That you know how to ask those questions.
Yeah. You should always have a question to ask because people are always going to say, hey, you have any questions for me? And then people are like, no, I'm good. No, you need to have some questions. Yep.
You need to have questions.
My go-to is, what's the latest book that you've read? But then also what you just kind of gleaned on was, how would you handle a scenario where, you have multiple people on the team and someone doesn't really hold their weight? How do you handle that in a group scenario?
Right.
I think those are like credible questions that you get to ask so you can kind of see what you're walking into.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that's something that you're interested in doing.
Well, how many people hate their job specifically because of their boss?
Yeah.
Not because of what they're doing, because their boss usually manages down to them and doesn't listen. All of those things.
What is next for Purple Banter?
What is next for Purple Banter?
And let me just say my quick story about Purple Banter.
Yeah.
I didn't know nothing about Purple Banter until I met LJ, our producer here, and I saw the vision even after I heard him talk about it. But seeing several voices on one platform, just really pushing toward the goal of really just changing the game and putting quality content out. I could stand behind that. And he's given me an opportunity to live out my dream and do it my way.
How did it click for you?
I guess when they showed up. Well, he said all you got to do is have the guest and be ready to talk.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, well, I could do that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to come, I'm going to set everything up, and I'm going to cut it up and put it out. And I said, oh, well, then that's, when do we start?
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it happened. And now we're almost at number 10. So.
I know. Very exciting. I think what's really exciting, like you said, a lot of diverse voices under an umbrella and conscious conversations that are happening that we can all be respectful about. But what I'm really excited about too is just to continue to grow the brand and the family within this. I know we've got some events that we're going to be doing. We've done a couple lives. Those are kind of more centered around our sports, but Barney's Beanery has been an awesome partner for a couple of these live events that we've been doing. And there's just to see people interact and bring all of it together is very, very exciting. So,
what I thought about as you were talking, just banter, right? I don't know, you probably defined it as you guys were deciding what to call this thing. But banter is just kind of like conversation.
Right.
I want to make sure that people know that they matter. Because I think that when you stay in a bad job or you stay in a bad relationship, or if you care what people think in a debilitating way, it's because you don't understand that you matter and that you have the final say over your life. And if you understand that in your own way, I understand it in my way, and it clicked for me in a certain way that I'm never going to turn back.
Yeah.
And some people need a rock bottom experience. But before you have a rock bottom experience, get the fact that you matter. And then if you have a bully, if you have somebody at work, if you have somebody that always talks bad about you or creates an energy, sometimes it's not even talking.
Yeah.
If there's somebody in your life that there's an energy that is present when they come around, you get to recognize it. You get to speak to it if you want to. And if you don't, you can step away powerfully. All that is possible for you. And you're not going to do that until you know that you matter.
Right.
And that you get that you matter. And that you really understand that and that you really take it in. What do you think?
Well, and I think there's a lot of people who get into a comfort zone style too that don't realize, oh, I matter. I can have that power within myself to not have negative people or that energy around you. And I think that's, once you get into that space and that mindset, that's power. It really is. And it's not power for anyone else like but yourself.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think just becoming very like quiet and clear on intention, that can get you there. I mean, my morning routine, we were talking about earlier, like I have to get out of my house, and I usually hike, but I have to do something. And it's a good and a bad thing, because if I don't do it, my day unfortunately feels to unravel, and it's a great habit, but if it doesn't happen, if for some reason I can't get out of bed or I have something to do right away, it's not a good situation.
All right, so you waking up what time traditionally?
I usually wake up around like 6:15.
And you going hiking?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do my little pre-workout, so I get the caffeine in.
Okay. All right.
So you get the caffeine, and then you get the endorphins.
Bouncing up the hills.
Oh God, yeah. It's awesome.
Nice. I'm out of flow right now because I, made some change in my life.
And that's hard.
It's tough. I feel very much out of flow right now, and when I am in flow, I wake up at like 5 a.m. I meditate. I drink this little tonic that I create.
Ooh, what is it?
So you boil water, you put apple cider vinegar, you put turmeric, you put cinnamon, honey. Do some.
So you get the honey to like take away from the apple cider vinegar.
Just a little bit.
Because I used to do shots of the apple cider vinegar, and it's a little rough.
It's a little rough, yeah. You can just put it in the tonic, make it a little smoother.
What does it do for your
I think
body?
They say that apple cider vinegar helps with the reset. When
right.
You wake up in the morning, it helps you kind of like reset.
Do you actually notice a difference?
I do.
Okay.
I do, and it's good for your skin.
It
helps to detox your.
As we're getting older, yeah.
Sea moss gel.
Okay.
You want to get in the sea moss gel?
I take capsules.
That's fine.
That's fine?
I take it straight up.
Ooh. What does it taste like?
I mean, I get the infused kind, so sometimes it's elderberry infused.
Okay. Which is a great immune booster as well. So.
And it's good for your gut health. It takes out mucus from your body. And that's where dis-ease comes from. Mucus. COVID-19, respiratory, y'all smoking, all that kind of stuff. That's phlegm, that's, mucus. So there can be no mucus or disease in an alkaline body. So if you're doing alkaline stuff, which I don't do it as much as I should, but that's how I start the day. And then at the gym, I got to do something. I got to do some type of physical activity.
Yep.
My trainer's texting me right now, 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. I'm going to be there, sir. 6:15 in the morning. And then I go to
What
work.
do you do with your trainer? Like what type of exercises?
Full body. Well, I don't know, whatever they do. Whatever
they
you get one
but
day
it's
a
like
week.
strength or like HIIT or.
So I do HIIT every other day.
Okay.
I'm a part of a HIIT gym where I go hopefully 3 times a week. And then I got 1 day a week with my trainer. And then on off days, we do like a cryotherapy or a yoga on the beach or something like that. So that's kind of like, if I can do 6 days of activity, I'm doing well. And eating. So right now, preparing for a milestone birthday.
You just want people to know what it's.
I'm just saying, I'm just ready for these abs to be present. That's all. I just need accountability so people know where them abs at. So I know I'm gonna get them
on the camel.
So on the camel, yes, but naked on the camel.
Maybe you'll get like a Axe body spray commercial.
I'm down with that.
Right?
I don't like Axe. Well,
you just canceled it.
Right. I like something a little more natural.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Maybe an essential oil base. You know what I'm saying? A spritz that, helps me with the glisten of my skin. You know what I'm saying? Something like that.
See, my head just goes to sponsorship. This
too.
is my role in the company.
Thank you. So Katia is going to be supporting us getting some sponsors from my master self.
So feel free, Katia at purplebanter.com. Just email me.
Yes.
Anyone who's watching.
Man, I mean, things are growing. I guess we can just talk about it. I'm so excited about the growth of what we're doing and this opportunity to, introduce people to my extended family and people that I meet on my journey. And some of the things that people have said to me about this podcast is, it's been enlightening. They have had some interesting conversations amongst their friend groups.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that people are like listening and then like taking it back and like talking to their friends.
That's huge. That's the goal.
Yeah.
That's 100% the goal.
I never really got into podcasts because I don't have an attention span that allows for a long thing.
Yeah.
And so I think we're right at 45 minutes. I mean, sometimes we'll go to 50, but it's 30 minutes is where I'm trying to like keep it to because that's how much I got. I'm checked out after that. Like, I'm like, what else we got to talk about? Unless it's organic and we're just like kind of going in. And most of the ones that we've done that have been long have just been great conversations. And we're just like, yo, what's good? And I like listening.
Mm-hmm.
And I like taking in what people are saying. I talk to myself all the time, so I like to, bring other people in the equation.
I get it.
Let's talk about your travels.
Okay.
Where are you going to next?
Ooh, I'm going to New York next.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My old stopping ground.
So I'm going to need some recommendations.
Yeah.
Going to New York next. Just a little reset, see some friends. It was kind of like a whim trip situation, but I feel, talking about energy, I kind of feel like I need the New York energy in my life a little bit.
Yeah.
I just feel like I gotta, you see the motivation, you see all those things happening. Other than that, I don't have anything planned again. I mean, I try to go to Greece once a year.
Yes.
That's kind of my trip. That's my happy place. That's like a reset everything. I mean, maybe we do like a Purple Banter, Greece meditation, everything. I actually have a good friend who she runs like wellness retreats and meditation, and she's Greek as well. And so most of her retreats are like 3 or 4 times a year in Greece. I haven't done it just because I like to do my own thing there, honestly. But
no, for sure. Well, I like Martha's Vineyard.
I've never been.
That's you gotta go.
I know. I've never gone to like Martha's Vineyard. I've never gone to the Cape. Any of those I would love to go to.
Hamptons,
all
those places. I mean, they get a bad rap. It's mostly like posh and stuff like that, but it's really a good time if you can just get out there.
It's like a totally different environment, right?
Yeah, just to kind of get away. And I never really vacationed, but now I'm like emphatic about let me just take at least a long weekend and go to the vineyard.
Have you ever gone there in like the off season, like now?
No,
it's not
always
worth it.
Like August. That's kind of when.
Yeah,
that's when the blacks come. It's like a thing in Martha's Vineyard, August. So we go now we're going in the second week of August. The whole month of August is like HBCUs and just like people are just coming. This is kind of like a tradition at this point.
Okay.
So
get a house.
Yeah. You don't have to if you don't want to. You can get a hotel room if you want, but get a house and just go and frolic on the beach and just network and chill.
That sounds awesome.
And I don't usually do that.
What are your vacations usually like? Your travels, I guess.
Really simple. I like good food.
Yep.
I like good music. I want to go see some sights, and then I want to get on a plane and go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And that might be back home. And that's how I'm able to travel a lot more because I don't need to have a 2-week vacation.
Right.
I can have a 3-day long weekend and then come back and then go somewhere else at the end of the month.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you're always going somewhere. Yeah, because I'm there for 2 days. I went to Paris and London for 4 days.
From LA?
Yeah.
Or from New York?
From LA.
Because from New York, that is the nice thing about the East Coast is you can just pop. It's so quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there is a direct from London from here.
It is. I didn't get on that one.
No.
Oh, you know what? On my way back, I was direct.
Yeah.
On my way back, I was direct.
I've been craving a little like Paris in my life.
Yeah. I'm about to go to Dubai and we got a 7-hour layover. So my people over there are just going to scoop us up and, we're going to chill.
Where's your layover?
It's in Paris.
Oh, in Paris. Okay.
To
that's
go to Dubai.
awesome.
Yeah. And my friends have never seen the Eiffel Tower and just kind of the standard stuff. So we'll go see that stuff.
I mean, I feel like Paris is the same how I equate New York on the food scene of you're like, I kind of just need to go to New York because I really need like a bagel and a slice of pizza, like really bad. That's it. And then Paris is, I don't know, I just like some bread and butter and I don't know.
Some wine.
Some wine, like a lot of wine.
A lot of wine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it, man. I'm so glad I got to talk to you because the energy right now for the grown folk is do you, boo.
Mm-hmm.
And
am I grown?
Yeah, you are.
Oh man.
I mean,
is that a good thing?
22 is, looks great on you. And, but you know what you're doing and you're doing it well.
Yeah.
But yeah, do your thing, be unapologetic about it and like push. And that's it. Everything else is going to happen. My pastor back in the day said, you be the gas and let God be the brake.
Oh, I love that.
Because you don't got to wait.
Wait, I love that.
Yeah, don't force anything. If you feel like it's not happening, don't force. But you should always put on the gas.
But then how do you know when or if you should turn if you're feeling like you're getting some breaks?
Great question. I mean, that's another leadership ability that you get to kind of hone in on, how to pivot and shift.
Yeah.
How to, change course. Like that's something that you got to be very sensitive. And if you're feeling some break, then you know that you need to kind of like, turn and you got to kind of go back to the drawing board.
That's scary.
It can be if you're not, I mean, you know what, but I am a planner. I'm a strategic person. So I have a lot of things that are happening. So if I feel a little resistance here, I'm just going to shift over to another thing.
Okay.
What I see, and this is not healthy, I'm working on myself, but it's just like in the circus, you have the guy that has all the plates on the sticks. And he's just like trying to get, that's how I feel like all my projects. And then some of them are going to drop and some of them are going to whatever. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to come over there. It's not sustainable. I'm clear about that. But that's how my mind thinks. So if someone says, stay in your lane, I'm like, no, that's not you. My lane is to dominate and my lane is to lead globally. So I'm always looking at the big picture.
Yeah.
And trying to partner and collaborate with people to fill in the gaps.
I'm a little bit of the same. Yeah. My dad used to always say, like, you just keep swinging the bat until you hit the ball. So there's a lot of bat swinging in my life and has been very consistent with that. So I feel you on that.
Keep swinging the bat.
Mm-hmm.
And don't compare yourself. We didn't talk about that. Don't compare yourself to anybody.
It's really hard.
It's just because we're in America.
I know.
And we are judging ourselves based on what we are watching.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's important for us to keep creating this kind of content so that we can change the narrative to, more aspirational, more, I don't want to say realistic, but it's just like, this is life. This is what success looks like. We're not where we want to be, but we are creating something from scratch our way. And we're able to utilize our resources and our friend groups to elevate. Yeah. And that's life. That's happiness and success for me. The money will come, but being able to do this every Monday after work is something that I look forward to doing, and we're changing lives.
Well, and I think finding success is finding the people around you too who are like want to fall in that trenches with you and help support, not only support, but are like, you're on a path, you're on a good path, and I want to be involved in any type of way, because all the negative, toxic people will quickly find their way out of that circle.
Powerful. Katia. Yeah. That's powerful. Just like a toxic person will find you, somebody that is going to support you and rock with you can find you in the same way. But the difference is where do you place yourself? Yeah. Where can you be seen? Are you in the spaces where people are able to support you, or are you in the trenches where they're ready to be toxic with you? Right. Because my toxicity, it starts with me. Yeah. And then I have to like separate and say, ooh, this is toxic. I can't do this. So let me go. Mm-hmm. I can recognize that in myself. Katia.
Me too.
Okay.
Me too. Right. Like hard.
I'm not trying to be toxic. I'm not trying to be petty. I'm trying to be, everything needs to be elevating. Yes. If you are not elevating me in my space, I don't need it. I can do bad all by myself. Period.
I'm going to watch that movie tonight. I haven't seen that movie in a really long time. Like really long time.
So I'd rather do battle by myself and then elevate with my friends.
Yeah.
All right. This is Master of Self. I'm so excited to have Katia. Where can they find all your stuff? Tell them.
Oh, well, Instagram at Katia Dragotis, the Come Up with Katia, all your podcast places. Of course, Purple Banter.
Purple Banter.
Of course. Please follow Purple Banter and you can see everything that's going on under the network. So awesome.
We'll see you next time as we continue this journey to be a master of self.